A huge day for the Mets, their fans, and the man who is in the studio with us this morning, Mets legend Dwight "Doc" Gooden. Doc, good morning. Thanks for being here with us. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me. Definitely looking forward to the 14th. I think it's going to be a great day. I look at that as a celebration for all the fans who's been with me through my ups and downs on the field and off the field. And anybody that's been there since '84 or not, I want all you guys to come on out to Citi Field. It's going to be definitely a celebration.
11-year Met career, you still, I look at your stats, I look back at them, and I realize just how dominating you were back then. I know you were a kid.
Yes.
You were a kid, and you were right in the middle of everything, and with all those other guys around you, and I'm just wondering, when you think back to when you first started with the Mets, did you realize just how fortunate you were going to be being on a team that was going to be that good?
Not really. I remember Davey Johnson told me wherever he managed the next year when I was in AAA, I'd be on his team. And once he got the big league job, I called David and said, "Hey, remember what you told me?" He said, "You're coming to camp." Coming to big league camp, I was just happy to be around those guys and try to learn. It's like living a dream. And once I made the team, you never think about stats or numbers. I remember talking to my dad saying, "I just want to be healthy and play a long time." Then everything started happening so fast, and it was just a blessing. And after the time you're going through it, I don't think you get to enjoy it as much, or I didn't get to enjoy it as much because you're stuck in the moment. During the off season, you get to enjoy it a lot with your family when they bring it up, but I don't think I enjoyed it as much. But I think now, with the number retirement, I'm in a good place, in my life now. Mm-hmm. I'm healthy, got a good relationship with my kids and my grandkids now. I can really enjoy
Dwight Gooden's a grandfather.
I know.
Mike's a great-grandfather as well.
Oh, you really? Oh, wow. I'm a grandfather too, man, but I'm just like, you're a great-grandfather?
Man, not even 60 yet. Great-grandfather. So imagine telling your 19-year-old grandson, "Happy Father's Day."
That's great.
That is incredible. Did you think that there was a chance this wasn't going to happen, this number retirement?
Oh, without a doubt, because, you go to different stadiums, you see different numbers hanging up. And then with the Mets, obviously, saw Kuzma, who's a good friend of mine, get his number hanging up. Piazza, obviously, but he's in the Hall of Fame. You see Keith. You think you have a shot, maybe? I felt like the things I did on the field might have been enough, but you're not sure with different organizations. But the off-the-field struggles I had with addiction, mental health, I thought it was too much damage there for it to happen, unfortunately, so I have to accept that. Last year, when I got the call from Steve Cohen telling me that he was going to retire my number, I never talked to Steve on the phone, so I actually intentionally hung up the call back to make sure it wasn't a prank call. Because, and then when I knew it was Steve, is talking, you tear up a little bit, and the first thing you think about is calling my dad, who unfortunately is no longer with us. But I say it's not about sorrow, so I get to share that with my kids and my grandkids, as was mentioned earlier. But I'm just overwhelmed about this happening because one of the things I always wanted in '94 when the Mets wanted to split ways was to get the opportunity to come back to Citi Field, to share something with the fans, to let them know that I'm healthy. I apologize for also seeing if I hurt them or whatever happens, and now I get the opportunity again.
I think Dwight, at the end of the day, you brought so much joy to so many Met fans for so long, and I know you dealt with so much stuff in your private life and everything else. You've come through all of that. It's 40 years since you started with the Mets. You started with the Mets in April 7th of 1984. Yes, it's almost the 40th year anniversary. Wow. And I think that the fact that Steve Cohen is doing this and made the call himself for you shows you how much of a fan he is, because you touched him as a fan. Forget about being an owner now. Wow. You touched him when he was younger. And I think that's part of the reasons why I think they want to bring both you and Daryl back, because the memories were really great.
Yes, thank you for the kind words. And I tell you, get a little choked up now just thinking about this.
Yeah, 40 years.
40 years, man. You're telling my age.
I'm right there with you, man. But, so I know, and as a Met fan and somebody, Tom Seaver has always been my favorite Met, and I told a couple of people I wanted to go out and see him before he passed away, and it was just like a very emotional time for me, because I think about him as when I was a kid. Wow. You and I are pretty much same age, contemporaries, that type of thing. Yeah. But I still think about the excitement that you guys brought to Shea Stadium, and just the lightning fastball at the All-Star game. Oh, Jesus. All of these things now that you think 40 years later do need to be celebrated, and we should be proud of the fact that you wore a Met uniform.
Thank you. And I'm looking for the opportunity because even I keep talking about my grandkids, but they never got to see me play. and I have 2 younger kids also. I actually go into your alma mater. I have a son at
University of Maryland.
Maryland.
Nice.
And they never really get so many plays, so they get to celebrate with me and get an idea of what I did for a living. When the fans there and the cheers I'm expecting to get, and and they share that moment with me, so you get an idea. But like you mentioned, 40 years, man.
How many people are going to be on the field with you? How many family members?
Oh man, I can't even bring them all. 'Cause I have 7 kids. I was married twice, and 10 grandkids. So I got half the grandkids coming.
Oh, they're okay.
Here's the
Okay.
catch. I got 2 ex-wives. The girlfriend gonna be there.
We got Doc Gooden in
it's all
studio
good.
with us. April 14th is going to be that special day where the number will be retired. Number 16 will be up on Citi Field forever.
And by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt you. On April 16th, you're doing something at the Madison at Malloy College, right?
Yes,
at Madison Theater.
Madison Theater.
An evening with Dwight Gooden. You can get your tickets there at the 7 to 9 p.m. April 16th at the Madison Theater at Malloy.
Nice. Very, very cool. So when you were talking about the ups and downs and the fans being with you, it always felt to me, because I grew up a Mets fan and have a lot of Mets fans in my family, that no one ever abandoned you or was mad at you. Because you even mentioned, if I let you down, I apologize. Yeah. I think people felt bad, but it always felt like no one was mad at you. You know what I'm saying? The Met fan always loved you through all of this. And I think that outpouring of emotion that you're going to see from the fan base, yes. I mean, it was always there. You know, did you feel that way?
100%. Because many times, as I always mentioned, that the Mets fans could have turned their back on instead. But they always cheered for me, no matter what I went through off the field, and wanted to make sure I was healthy. Unfortunately, in 2019, I had a struggle, and I not gave up on myself, but I was really down. I didn't trust myself. But from the social media stuff I got from Twitter, Instagram, text messages and all that to let me know the fans actually at that time uplifted me and believed more in me than I believed in myself at that time. And that showed me how much they really appreciated me as a person, not just a baseball player. And that's what meant a lot to me as well.
You know what's amazing is that you not only spent, of course, 11 years with the Mets, but it was 3 years with the Yankees.
Yes.
And George Steinbrenner.
Oh, yeah. George was great.
He was great. He treated you great. And that must have been – what was that like, wearing the Yankee pinstripes and then say I'm trying to think, did you pitch against the Mets in the Yankees?
Against the Mets, where they had the day-night doubleheader in 2000. Mm-hmm. And not the, like when I signed with the Yankees, because I wanted to stay in New York. I love New York. As a Met, you hate the Yankees. Not literally, but it's just they're the other team, they're on the other side. And so I never pictured myself being a Yankee, but I wanted to stay in New York once the Mets wanted to split ways. And George Steinbrenner gave me an opportunity to play in New York, to stay there. And I remember the first day of spring training, being in the restaurant with the Yankee cap on and the jersey, just staring at myself, trying to get used to seeing myself in the Yankee uniform. It's definitely different. But, you know, George, like I say, he believed in me. The Yankees was really the only team that came to watch me throw in 95 when I was out. And he just said, you know, pitch who I know you can pitch, stay out of trouble, you'll be fine. And he gave me an opportunity. He did a lot of things. And when my dad was at his end of his road, George would go to visit him at the hospital as well. And those are things that you really remember, that kind of man George was, because he got a lot of heat about the stuff that, you know, people didn't like. But I remember George's caring. And when I worked for George for 6 years when I retired, the things he did for people in the community, even at restaurants, helping people, helped my Little League team in Tampa, and the things he did for myself and my family, I mean, I've never forget that as well for the entire Steinbrenner family.
Yeah, and I think George was just obsessed with you and Daryl because you took over the city and the Mets took over the city and the Yankees were not the Yankees at that time, and he always wanted to get his hands on you guys, and he did.
I gotta say one thing. I was arguing with Evan Roberts, who does the afternoon show here, and he's a Met dweeb. He just knows everything about the Mets. He just wrote a book about the Mets, and good for him, and hopefully he sells a lot of books.
Yeah.
But, you know, we were arguing over Johan Santana's no-hitter, and I'm like, you know, why couldn't Dwight Gooden have done that for the Mets? Or why couldn't Tom Seaver done that for the Mets?
But not to cut you off.
All right.
And not to blow smoke up my own horn, but since you brought it up.
All right.
1984 against the Chicago Cubs. Keith Morley, you might remember, Keith Morley hits a slow roller to Ray Knight. Ray Knight feels it, but it gets stuck in his hand. He can't get the ball out of his glove. Base hit, the only hit. I ended up throwing a one-hitter.
It would have been a no-hitter had Ray Knight made the play.
That should have been a no-hitter. And not to take anything from Johan. And I'm like,
Yeah, but Johan had pitched 135 pitches, and we're celebrating it like it's something else. You or Tom Seaver should have been the ones doing it.
Well, I mean, they had so many great moments. It's unfortunate he
Yes,
ended up doing it with the Yankees, which kind of hurt the Met fan, but we still saw it. But, yeah, I mean, there was, up until that Johan no-hitter was with Jimmy Qualls. It was that game. It was just so close, and you never were able to get it. Now, if you go back and think of the best positive memory of your career in a Mets uniform, because it's probably the no-hitter in the Yankee uniform, winning the World Series there, but in a Mets uniform, what's that one specific moment that you think back
if I had to pick one, it was so many. The one that sticks out the most, I would probably say the clincher against the Chicago Cubs. I remember facing Chico Walker. The place was packed, and I was in the ninth inning, and obviously you want to end on a strikeout. He kept fouling balls off, hit the ground ball to Wally. Wally gets him out, and everybody's rushing the mound. The fans are rushing the field. It was scary but fun and exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
But it was scary at the bottom of that pile, man. But I think that's the most memorable moment and probably my best moment in the Met.
The great thing that I think Steve Cohen is really trying to do is he's trying to bring back Met legacy. He's trying to bring back some sort of Met pride that was once here, and he's trying to rebuild it now. As a matter of fact, I noticed – even the seats behind home plate now have the Met logos on them. And you can tell when people aren't sitting in them.
Yeah.
Because you can see that Met logo, which is a good thing.
Yes.
And I think bringing you back and bringing Daryl back is all about rebranding and bringing back the great memories of the Mets.
I agree. And it's good to see. And Steve's a great man. I've had the opportunity to talk to him several times. And you're right, because even when we had the old-timers game, last year, was it 2 years ago or last year?
Yeah, last year.
Had the old-timers game back and doing a lot of stuff with the alumni, now having guys at the stadium. He's definitely bringing that back. And I think it's great for the fans as well, because I remember my first year with the Yankees in '96. I went to spring training. They had DiMaggio, they had Yogi, they had Guidry, they had Goose, they had Reggie, all these guys. And I was like, wow, this is nice. And now seeing the Mets starting to get us involved, I think it's a great thing for the players now as well as the fans.
April 14th is Dwight Gooden Day at Citi Field. The number 16 will go up forever. Daryl Strawberry later in the season. Where are you guys as far as your relationship? I know you've had your ups and downs as well with Daryl.
Yeah, I love Daryl today. Tomorrow we might want to kill each other. I don't know. No, but honestly, me and Daryl were cool. We're a good guy. Unfortunately, when we had our ups and downs, I was guilty of some stuff, and he felt like he was guilty of stuff where we leaked it out to the media. We had mutual friends that would call stuff, the hearsay stuff, and instead of us picking up the phone and calling each other and talking about it, we started firing back at each other and leaked to the media. Unfortunately, I think we both matured from that a lot, and I'm wishing him the best of health now with what he's going through with a speedy recovery. I'm very proud of him this year, get his number retired as well, because we've been through a lot of similarities. And one thing about Daryl, I remember before I lost my mom 5 years ago, he actually went down to my mom's house and spent the entire day with her and just talking to her and praying for her. But those are the things that stick out to me more than anything with Daryl, knowing that he's real. And I'm very proud of what he's doing in his ministry as well. And now when we have a conversation, it's real. It's not over a drink. It's not over just a conversation after a game. It's just man to man, heart to heart, and I love him.
Yeah, and you guys are going to be connected forever, no matter what. So that's great to hear. That makes me feel great that you guys are in a good space, because I hated to see that. Like as a Met fan,
but there was so
supposed to be best friends, man.
I know, but it's but there's so much stuff that was going on in both of your lives,
Yes,
where you weren't thinking straight, you weren't seeing straight, you weren't seeing the world straight. And
100%.
who's getting this credit? Who's getting that credit? I mean, that's what happens, and now all of a sudden you're all past that.
Yes.
And like I said, it's 40 years. Almost 40 years to the
You
day.
keep saying that, man.
Well, you know what? Because I felt it myself. You
Yeah.
just realize that, man, life goes by in a blink.
Oh, it does. It does. And when we look back at things, it's the little things that really didn't make sense anyway. It was no big deal.
Yeah.
We blow it up at the time. As you get older, you mature, you learn from those things. You look back at it, and you're like, what was the big deal?
You know what's funny is it's interesting, not funny, but as these years go by and pile up, but the Mets still haven't won a World Series. Your guys' legend continues to grow. Like, I feel like I'm looking at a unicorn right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it's so much time has passed, and then you look back and you see the videos and the highlight video, and it's like So almost in a way, you're more popular when they don't win a World Series, even though we want to see another one. But
You know, I actually, I yell at Keith Hernandez all the time. I'm going to yell at you. You guys should have won like 4 World Series.
yeah,
I tell you what, if we would have had the wild card, not to justify anything, but if we had the wild card like they have now, I think we'd have had more shots. And 88, we might have left one on the table.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yes.
I didn't go all the way, and Herschel had the big year, but we should have won that one. But I think I might be a little biased. I'm a Met. I'm always going to be a Met. But the way the team is going now with the ownership and the people having it working with them, I think they're heading in the right direction. Unfortunately, got off to a slow start this year, but a lot of baseball left. But I like the direction they're headed in, and so hopefully soon. Hopefully get back in there soon.
I always want to ask you one thing. How big is your hand?
Wow.
Look, it's bigger. We got much bigger it is than mine.
Significantly bigger than Boomer's.
He's got to have like a 10.5-inch hand.
Oh,
I
my
couldn't
God.
throw a football like you, though.
I know, but I couldn't. Well, the baseball thing.
Baseball's smaller, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Just a minute.
Wow.
That had to help with the curveball.
100%.
Yeah.
And my dad taught me the curveball when I was 7 years old. Like, I wouldn't teach a kid a curveball.
Did you hold it like that, or how'd you hold it?
It's close.
Close?
Yeah, it's very close. So I always went like 4-seamer, I would go here,
Yeah.
right there. And then curveball, I would just turn it like right there on the seam.
That was it.
Always on the inside of the seam. So fastball, you're releasing this way. The curveball, you just turn it right
And you had that curveball, that over-the-top curveball.
top.
Yeah.
Was
7
it
years old, my dad taught me that. He felt like it was how you throw opposed to what you throw. Like, me personally, I wouldn't teach a kid that because mechanics and ligaments are still growing, the bones are still developing. But my dad, I mean, it worked out. And that's one of the things I regret before he passed, not asking him where did he get his knowledge from. Because my nephew, Gary Sheffield, we grew up in the same house, and he taught Gary how to hit and taught me about pitching.
Yeah, how's that maniac doing?
He's doing good. You know what's
right?
funny about Gary? I got to tell you a
Yes.
quick story. I get on. So you know how Gary always had the wiggle in his bat?
Yeah.
Always wiggling. So my dad taught him that when he was young about timing. So when Gary's really going fast and biting his lip, he's gearing for a fastball, right? When he's slowing down a little bit, he's thinking off speed. So in 1992, Gary gets traded from Milwaukee to San Diego. And anytime I faced Gary, whether it was Todd Hutley or Charlie O'Brien catching me, I would tell him, don't put down a sign until I knock my head because I want to see what Gary's doing with his bat. So I had no problem with Gary. I got him out. But the problem was he killed everybody else. And I remember Mel Stoudemire, our pitching coach, was talking one day. He goes, Doc, what's your secret to getting Gary out? I said, I'm just getting lucky because he's still family. So I chose family over my team, which, you know, you get mixed
Well, that's
reactions.
good. That's nice.
Yeah.
of you. Yeah.
I never gave it away.
Yeah,
And Gary never knew that till once he retired. I told him I knew what he was doing.
That's unbelievable. That's great. You're able to pick up on the tell. What was more fun, blowing a fastball by somebody or having somebody's knees buckle with the curveball?
Okay, that's interesting. So I'm going to tell you a story about Jack Clark. But first, if it was a power hitter, like a guy like, say, Jack Clark, Bob Horner,
Yeah.
McGuire later on in my career, you want to throw the fastball by him. It's just an ego thing.
Yeah.
You know, 2 strikes, you just want to, especially at Shea Stadium, you want to blow the fastball by him. But if it was just a decent hitter, like, say, Tony Gwynn, Wade Boggs, those guys like that, Pete Rose, like I saw the highlight, Pete Rose, the buck of those guys with a curveball was the exciting thing because those are good hitters, contact hitters. With the curveball, you know, you want to throw it and get them out, right?
Yeah. What's the Jack Clark story?
So Jack Clark story, 1984, my rookie year, you know, I'm getting a lot of strikeouts. And Rusty stopped. For some reason, Rusty took a liking to me. We go out and eat on the road a lot. And Jack Clark was with the San Francisco Giants, but he was hurt. So Rusty goes, you think you have a good fastball? I wish you'd have faced Jack Clark. That guy turns anybody fastball around. And it was in my mind, I'm thinking, okay. 1985, opening day, we're playing the Cardinals. Jack Clark's on the Cardinals. Gary Carter's catching, got me all pumped up. It's opening day. The first inning I get through 1, 2, 3. Second inning, Clark's leading off, right? All I could think about was Rusty saying, this guy teach a fastball.
A year ago.
I get ahead of him, 0-2. Carter's calling breaking ball, high fastball. I said, nah, I'm going to blow this guy away, right? Next pitch, bam, over the scoreboard. I walk into the dugout and Rusty goes, that's the Jack Clark I was talking about.
That's awesome.
That is
I
awesome.
love that stuff. Dwight, so happy to see you. Can't wait for the 14th. It's going to be a special moment, not just for you, but for all of us who loved watching you and still do. So thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you
Always
guys.
great to see you,
I'm a big
Dwight,
fan of
man.
the show. Thank you
Awesome.
guys so much.
Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.